Okay, welcome to the next episode of the Curse of Fey. We start this part of the game following on from last week's adventure, where the party went in search, or the previous episode, the party went in search of the... What did you go in search of? The Chernobog. That's the word I'm looking for. I was thinking of something completely different. The word didn't come to my head, but it has now popped into my brain. Chernobog, that's the one. You were searching for the Chernobog, and you found the creature. You were caught in an epic battle, an epic struggle with this creature. It, although got the jump on you at the very beginning, seemingly outnumbered, found it very difficult to make any contact with you during your initial fight. However, it did land quite a nasty blow against our cleric Moira, biting into her leg and causing her to have quite a nasty gash, or another open wound, very similar to the fawn Sahana that you had met in the town. After the battle was concluded, Tisfan went to finish off the creature that had already been mortally wounded, ready to strike it in the head and take its life. However, before that final ending blow was struck, a strange effect seemed to come over the being that you saw there. It had constantly been leaking this sort of black fluid from its mouth all the time that you had been fighting it. But now the body of the creature seemed to almost change and turn into this black liquid, pulling away from the massive form of this bear-like creature and slowly draining away from another body that was in the center of this black ichor. The ichor itself pouring away, and as it was running away from the body, just sort of slowly dissipating and turning into ash, leaving the body of a naked half-elf laying face down on the ground. Several of you looked at the body and checked them over, seeing if there were any potential clues as to who they were, or to how they died, if they died in some other way other than the wounds that you had caused them yourself. There seemed to be some wounds on the body, but they were old. They weren't new. They weren't fresh to the body. So none of the wounds that you had yourself inflicted on this creature seemed to be the main cause of death. However, you know the creature itself, when it was this bear-like being, was killed by the blows that you had landed on it. But the elf itself had no fresh wounds. You had a look at the body. You couldn't ascertain any other information, I don't think, about how they died, but they were definitely deceased. While you were there, you realized that two party members, one being Galatea, the other one being your new dog friend Giggles, weren't with you. They had stayed on the path. And so you returned to see where they were. And while they seemed to be standing reasonably still and nonchalantly in the forest as you approached them, you were made aware that there was something above you, noises, movements that Galatea had pointed out. And after a few moments, several woodland sprites or little creatures that seemed to be made of parts of the forest climbed down from these tall trees and spoke in a funny, almost rhyming way in some ways, to basically invite you to meet the mistress of the forest. They beckoned you to follow them, and seemed to be impressed that you had killed this beast, and that their mistress wanted to see you, to speak to you after you had completed this task. You were somewhat kind of hesitant to follow these unknown creatures any further in, asked a few questions about who it was, and they spoke of a creature, of a mistress that was wanted to speak to you to talk to you, and it seemed like they genuinely wanted to meant you no harm, but wished you to follow them to meet her. After that, you decided to follow the creatures who wound their way through the forest, leading you deeper into the heart. Finally, you came across this glade that was deeper into the forest where you had been following these creatures, and they, after leading you in there, decided to leave you and disappear back off into the forest again to their own business. When you enter the glade, you see this beautiful opening, these tall, very ancient trees all standing, forming this sort of circle around you. Very serene, very, very almost not ethereal, but kind of sort of, you could feel this ancient presence within this wood, and it was peaceful. You could hear birds calling from deeper into the forest, but this was a serene area. And standing in its center was this giant oak that went straight up into the canopy and beyond. You no idea how tall this goes, but a very, very large, ancient-looking tree. Amros, you approached this tree, I believe, to begin with, and were inspecting it, looking around, trying to see where this person was that you were supposed to meet. And as you approached and you started to investigate, a giant form of this female dryad started to grow from the base of this tree, growing up tall, very tall, about I'd say about 15 feet tall, I think with antlers. Grew up into the air from this tree. Beautiful sort of smooth wooden bark skin. Tree branches growing out like antlers out the top of her head. Hair made of leaves that flow down her shoulders. And she spoke to you, and was interested to let you know that she had been aware of your presence since you entered into this part of the Fey realm. She was curious as to why you were there, and had knowledge that she passed on to you about the Chernobog. You had assumed that the Chernobog was just a single creature. However, it turned out that there were more of these. There were 3, I believe I said 3. There were 2 of these spawn of Chernobog, and then 1 Chernobog itself, 1 parent or original that was obviously, through biting, you assume, able to reproduce or create smaller versions of itself. And so it turned out that this Chernobog, or spawn of Chernobog that you had killed, is probably just one of several that roam the woods. I think Amoros, you mentioned at some point during the conversation about the people of the town who had mentioned, I can't remember now exactly what you said. Somehow you mentioned the townsfolk of Lankshorn, or perhaps mentioned about the woodcutters in some way. And
yeah, I mentioned about the woodcutters wanting us to reason with the dryads, allowing them to cut the woods. But we wanted to hear their side of the whole story as well.
That's right. And on hearing this, on hearing these you talk about these woodcutters, her mannerisms and her voice turned cold, and it was very, very acutely aware that there was there was a conflict between these two groups. The ancient dryad was very quick to tell you of the evils that these woodcutters had done, and to illustrate her point, she waved her hand, dissipating a glamour that was on this glade that you had come into. which revealed the trees to what they actually looked like, how they actually were represented. And you could see that instead of these beautiful trees that you saw before you, that in reality they were these twisted branches, broken branches, with deep gouges in them caused by axes and saws. Many of them around the area being damaged and broken. And the main tree in the center where this dryad had grown from had a huge gash down the side of it and was oozing this thick amber sap that made it look like all of them like they were bleeding to death. The dryad herself, form changed, becoming more twisted, and the wood of her body being more fractured and splintered, showing just how this had affected them. Having the trees, these ancient trees, being damaged and essentially, in their eyes, being murdered by the folk of the woodcutters of the village. Knowing that you were not responsible for this, they saw you as more of, or perhaps you had suggested you were more of a liaison between the two parties and wished to sort of find a common ground. And it was made very clear that this dryad was devastated by the damage that had been created to these trees, these ancient trees, the heart of the forest, she said, and how they had been damaged, and that perhaps initially the woodcutters had taken wood as normal, and that was fair game. However, they had gone too far. They had cut too deep into the forest and had even come to this ancient grove and damaged these ancient trees, and for that, the ancient dryad could not forgive them. She said they had been warned. She had said that they had tried to tell them to stop cutting the wood down, or in some way tried to communicate that this was not acceptable. However, it seemed that the woodcutters had either not listened or not understood. Only one proposal was given by the dryad as a way of trying to rectify this situation. They wanted the person responsible, the leader of this group of woodcutters, who they decided that was a way to find a balance to this devastation to them. They required this sacrifice from this person in order to find some sort of recompense, I suppose, for the life that had been taken from the tree, or perhaps a way of repairing or creating a way that they could substitute one life force for another. And so they had asked that you bring the woodcutter, who you know from your conversations, I think Galatea and Amaros as well, both talking to this person at some point, who is Celophin Norel, who is a satyr that you had met in town at the market, who was selling wooden items. They wanted them to come and essentially give up their life. And in doing so, the forest would draw a line under the attacks, or the end of the conflict. Their life being the bargain for this, for them to decide to do this. And if this was accepted, if this was something that the Celophin was willing to do, they would halt further attacks and they would be at peace once more. You made some suggestions. You did try to explain about, one life ends and another life begins, saplings growing. But to the ancient dryad, the heart of the forest, this ancient tree, had stood for many, many lifetimes. It was ancient. It was thought to be unending, and yet now lays dying because of mortal hands. And so, in their eyes, one mortal life was a pittance to pay for the life of this tree. I think, Kane, you may have argued the fact that the life of this person was no small thing, and that it wasn't a fair balance. Taking this life, or a life for a life, was no way to try and sort this issue out. However, the Dryad seemed to be offended by this. Obviously not. It appeared that they would not value a human life in any way, shape or form to this ancient tree. And you almost gave them another suggestion, or they contemplated that perhaps they were being too generous, in fact, and perhaps maybe the life of the townsfolk would be more of a fair trade. But you ended the conversation, I believe, with the Dryad telling you that you were free to bring back this Celophin to her to stand trial of such of a sort for their crimes, and if you wish to find a parley or a way of ending the conflict between these two groups, that is what that they required. And to put a full stop to that, the Dryad turned back into and disappeared back into the tree again, ending the conversation. You were then left to leave the grove of your own accord, still discussing the best way forward and what to do next. The only thing that you noted on your travel back towards the town was that the forest, which had always been almost claustrophobic or dark, and you'd sort of got used to it, but you could find your way in there. Now the trees and your path seem to be more obscured and more harder going than it had been before, almost as if the trees themselves were just getting in your way. Almost like you felt like sometimes the trees were shoulder checking you or trying to trip you with a root. You know that they can't move, but it felt like your way now through the forest was a little harder than it had been. And I'll leave you to your own interpretation of what you think that might mean. However, we find you all walking back through the forest with Giggles faithfully leading you the way.
Well, that was a lot.
The trees seem vengeful.
I mean, I would too. Did you see all that at the end there?
I mean, of course, I understand the feeling of upset here, but by the same hands, it can't help but feel like maybe not so much an overreaction, but they're letting vengeance cloud their better judgment. Stooping to the level of mortals when they seem so intent on holding themselves above them.
I mean, sure, but we've killed things that attacked us without asking questions. They're not going straight there. That's already something.
I think that in defense of us, as far as I know, the only things that we have ever attacked and killed were things that made it very clear that if the tables were turned, we'd be the ones lying there dead at their hands.
Okay, and great big wounds would not make that clear.
I'm interested to know to what extent these dryads actually tried to reason with the people that were chopping down these trees.
Me
That's
too.
actually a very good question.
Yeah.
I do not want to rush to their defense when, for all we know, this would be the first that the lumberjacks would know of their reasoning. We know that they know they exist, but has it just been pure hostility from both sides?
Hear me out. We've heard the Dryads' side of things and somewhat seen it considering how the grove turned out. And we have heard the voice of the leader of the woodworkers. But we have not heard from the woodworkers themselves. We've only heard his story. Maybe we should try to find the rest of the woodworkers and see if they've actually been warned too, or if it's just him and he's sending the others pretty much out to die in this scenario.
I agree.
Well, the best way to learn about the heart of an operation is through the layman.
Very
I
much.
mean, sometimes the workers are more honest than the higher ups.
I think always. I think that's always the case. Yeah, at least in my experience.
IRL leaking in.
Okay, well, I suppose that'll be our next stop then.
Hey, Amorous,
Yeah, go on.
you were so diplomatic. I'm so impressed.
I'm not used to trying to be diplomatic. I've grown up having to try to speak with a lot of adults. Even as a younger kid, that might have affected it, but I'm always very uncomfortable in those situations. I was trying to stay as neutral as I could without trying to trigger anything that would end up bad for us. I think I kind of screwed up considering how they reacted to just mentioning of the woodworkers. But at the same time, if I didn't mention it at all, we would probably not have progressed anything in there.
If you hadn't, I would have, and I don't think I would have been as eloquent.
I appreciate it. And it might sound wrong of me to say that I kind of want to side with the Dryads. Not so much for the whole Orist versus Woodworker thing, but because I actually have a personal question I wanted to ask them, and I think we might have been better off if I had started with that one instead of the woodworkers. I just hope I will at least be able to ask the question at the end of this without everything freaking falling apart.
Well, all the more reason to solve this then. Huh?
And that might also be why I try to be even more diplomatic than I'm used to.
Well, we've been out here a while, right? We could stock up on supplies again before we head back out. Have a talk to these people. See if we can convince the leader of this band of lumberjacks to come back with us and try to make this ancient being see reason.
I think let's sleep on it. Or is it night soon? Did anyone find out how time works here?
Somewhat. I did talk with, fuck, I forgot her name, the horned rabbit.
Mary.
Mary, thank you. I knew it was something M. My memory freaking just wouldn't trigger. She did mention that they tell time or day or something by the moons. I
Oh,
don't really understand it myself.
can we see the moon?
At the moment, you're in the forest under the canopy, so it'd be very difficult to see it unless you wanted to climb a tree and see if you could see the sky. However, you know that you could see the sky from the town where it was less dense, so possibly.
I would not recommend doing anything that involves a tree right now, guys.
Good point.
Yeah.
I forgot what I wanted to ask now.
You were talking about the moons and the time.
Oh yeah. Is there any way we can tell just sort of about how long it's been since we got up?
So what did you found that Sahana had a black tongue. You went from there to find a cure in the town. You went back again, and you decided to talk to the town. Then you went out the forest. You had that fight.
Afternoon?
I would say that. I would say based on the fact that you might have some like breakfast and stuff in the morning, and by this time you're probably starting to get hungry. On the walk back, you may have decided maybe to have a few rations at this time. So give me, anyone who wants to try and sort of figure it out, give me an intelligence roll. Let's have a look.
I'll give it a go. It's not my strong suit.
Yeah. Just see if any of you can kind of tell based on how hungry you are and how long you think you've been awake, what the kind of time of the day might be.
Oh wow.
Okay, got an 18 there from Kane and 4 from Galatea. Galatea, you've no idea. Like you rely on your senses of the light of the day and things like that to tell your time, and you can't see any of that. And even if you could, the light is constant here. So
I'm so glad I said it out loud.
with everything else going on, you're like, I have nothing to base the day on. Kane, you are a learned man. You have become accustomed from the brief time that you've been here to kind of keep a track maybe in your mind, just sort of thinking back about all the things you've done currently in the day, how long you've been searching for through the woods for the Chernobog in the first place, and then how much time you've spent at this in the woods. You'd think it's probably, based on how hungry you are and how those other effects, it's probably around maybe afternoon, you would think, in an immortal time. So you're thinking you've probably been awake for at least 8 or 9 hours.
This is the result of what should really be a personality flaw of Kane's that is now a boon, in that he is just terribly paranoid 24/7. He's been like counting the hours in his head.
So yeah, you think it's probably sort of early afternoon. But yeah, that without being able to see the sky, maybe, and if there's information that Amros has now alluded to about something to do with the moons, if you could see the sky, perhaps that would maybe make sense, or at least maybe it's something you could ask the townsfolk when you're back.
Well, I must say I terribly miss the sundials that we had back in our own realm.
Oh, me too.
But regardless of that, to me it feels a little too early to sleep. That's not to say that we shouldn't sleep on the decision. I just think that maybe we might need to find a way to make ourselves busy in the town for a few more hours before we think about resting our heads.
I mean, oh, we have a lot to do.
We do.
Um, I think we can probably think of something.
It seems like a town that could do with a lot of help.
I still want to have a look inside that tree. Oh, we didn't ask about the tree.
We were given a rough rundown of what the trees once were we not?
Oh, sorry, was that the which tree?
The
one in town, the broken one.
Oh, the broken one in town. Yeah. You were told that it was a sacred tree to the town. Obviously, it used to be a large tree with a huge canopy over the town as protection that has been cut or broken, and that this violet flaming sphere now hovers above the stump where it had been broken off. But to the townsfolk, it was something of a sacred tree. It had many carvings on it. I think I mentioned in the base of the roots and going up the side of it to where there was a door. So it's obviously been ordained or carved into by someone over the time. Perhaps it tells a story. Perhaps it has some religious significance. But I think all you have really gained so far is that it was a sacred tree. It was important to the village. But now the Scarwood Guard now seem to have taken ownership from it.
I am kind of curious to how the Dryads would have reacted to even just mentioning what happened to that tree, considering that the village, or the villagers at least, kind of worship the tree, so they kind of had a connection to the forest. And actually, God knows what would happen if the Dryads found out that something actually, for all we know, corrupted a sacred tree.
I have a feeling they probably know.
I think we maybe shouldn't continue these conversations until we're back in the village. We're still in the forest, I think.
I think that might be wise. While we're walking, Galatea is sort of munching on some rations, but looking both thoughtful and a little more upbeat than usual. And I know it was like 2 sessions ago now, but she took her her hair sort of flew out when she was casting levitate on Moira, and it's still sort of flopping about lazily, like there's a breeze. More than there probably is around us. I don't know who of you will have noticed that, but it's there.
I think Amos would be walking in front of Galatea, so he would probably not be in a position to actually probably notice it as we're walking. And so I'm actually unsure if he would.
Fair enough.
Well, anyone who wants to see if they notice that can give me a perception check.
Sure.
Or if you think you'll be busy and not paying attention, then that's perfectly fine as well.
Yeah, it was just a little side note.
The 15, yeah, and an 11, yeah. I guess, yeah, Moira, if you may have noticed this. The Galatea's hair is blowing around. Kane, yeah, you definitely noticed. That,
Oh, Kane. There might be a sort of slight blue tinge at the roots. Anyway, let's keep going.
I think Kane wouldn't mention it now, especially with the trees having ears. He thinks giving away maybe too much might not be the best, even if it is just based on your appearance. But I think he might have something to say about it when we get back to town.
Have you worked it out finally? You had so many guesses.
Sadly, no. I still haven't worked it out.
Nice.
Moira is probably more confused than anything. She's just kind of looking and kind of turning her head like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing?
No,
Or-
it's just like Feywild shit.
Things.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I imagine this is a lot of like PTSD for Moira after seeing that grove.
Yeah.
That must have been like not good. It's fine. We'll get you something tasty in time. We'll help you feel better.
So, do you want to make your way straight back to the town?
We would like to
You would like to, okay.
try to, unless you have something stopping us from doing that.
No, I
Mr.
want to make it ask if you were going to go back and try and speak to the Dryad again, or if you were going to continue on to the town, or if you had some other plans.
I mean, the way they kind of hinted that we weren't welcome there at the moment, with pretty much shutting us out, I think at least Amos would take the hint that, okay, we need to come back first when we got Woodcutter Boy.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be allowed back in without him.
I mean, we could try, but
Where can we purchase 5 great axes, please, DM?
hey, I'm not in this. I'm with the trees.
I mean, the woodcutters probably have axes that you could use if that was your if that's the way you want to handle it. Nico's Nax probably is the nearest place that you know of that might sell things, or at least perhaps some of your party members can tell you, because I don't think you've ever been there.
I have, and I've actually been planning to visit him too. I just wanted us to be back in the village.
That's fine. All right, so you guys are heading straight back to the village as best you can. So, using Giggles as your guide to take you back there again. Let's have a roll.
I knew it.
Who would like to be leading or holding on to Giggles?
What can I take? Survival, I take it?
Yes. So if you can roll me a survival, please. Oh, actually, no, not survival, because you're not tracking anything this time. You were letting the hound take you back. So you normally would have advantage because they are with you. However, the trees themselves seem to be hindering you for some reason, and so it's just going to be a straight roll. So we will have, you can pick a skill in which you think would aid you in getting back to town. So out of your skills, if you give me a suggestion of how that skill would aid you in getting back, you can make me a roll.
Oh god, you made this so much harder. The first thought I would say survival or investigation, because trying to remember the path, but considering, as you described it, the trees move everything around, that is very much harder. Um. Hmm. God damn it! I don't want to take first because I'm not sure which to pick now.
It can be anything. If you just any of your skills, you just have to sort of suggest a way you're doing it. So perhaps it could be that you're using perception to keep a lookout for those naughty roots that keep popping up, or to make sure you're looking out for anything that might stop you from progressing or hinder your progression as you're trying to get back.
You know what? Just because of that, I'm going to choose acrobatics to make sure he has a good foothold where we're traveling.
Okay, so you're going to use acrobatics to steady your footing, so you make sure that you're
to make sure that the path feels alright. That if a route only moves, he's able to pretty much dodge it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, give me a roll then using your acrobatics. Ooh,
Well,
that's
that failed.
a natural one.
Starting off strong. It's right down now.
So I mean, the Giggles pulls you back in the direction they believe that they are heading.
This is fine.
And you make a small amount of progress. However, rather than avoiding the many routes and things on the way back again, you do seem to be hitting almost every single one, which doesn't help you in your progress, but it does call them out to everyone who's behind you, and so they're able to avoid them where you fail. But this does take you quite a bit of time on your journey. It does hinder your progress, and so you feel like you've been traveling maybe an hour in the direction back. I think it took you several hours to get where you were going, but you feel like this has probably taken an hour and you haven't really progressed very far at all.
I fully blame it on that Amros had to spend so much brain power on trying to be diplomatic. He's no longer used to this.
No worries. All right. So after an hour of travel, you've made a little bit of progress, but not very much. You still got at least a couple of more hours of travel, you reckon, until you get back in the direction. Giggles is still leading you the way. They know the forest, or at least this part of the forest, reasonably well. They've probably been around here a few times on walks and such, and they've got a good nose. So who would like to take the lead for Giggles next? I'll ask you to pick a skill as well, very similar, but I'd ask you to not use the skill that has just been used. So please pick a different one than acrobatics.
I missed what happened after the nat one because I was being offered hot chocolate. And my priorities, in my brain.
That's entirely
That's
fair.
fine.
Okay.
What happened was basically that the progress was slow. So you spent an hour traveling, but didn't really make much progress in the forest. However, Amros happily or helpfully found every tree branch and tree root to fall over, and calling them out as they fell over them all.
Amorous is now black as well as blue.
Debatable, good sir. Debatable.
Tripped over the roots, got their horns stuck in some branches above. It was slow going, but you have made some progress.
I'm laughing twice as hard. Firstly, because of that pun, that was wonderful. But secondly, because all I can imagine are these Amoros-shaped holes in the mud all the way, through the forest, like Snow Angel.
Same.
But yes, I was just calling on the next person who would like to take the hold of Giggles and use a skill to progress.
I don't suppose Moira's any good with animals, is she?
Well, you know what? Something that you did pick up before several times, I think I mentioned, is that Giggles really likes mice. So,
Oh, no.
Really likes mice. It's fine, Moira. Take the leash, Moira. What could possibly happen?
Oh God. I guess I take the leash.
and Giggles seems much more excited about the fact that you're you've taken the leash, and I don't have you led Giggles before? Is this the first time?
I don't remember.
It might be the first time, and so he turns to you. He gives you a good sort of sniff, and you probably stand eye to eye with him, height wise. And he gives you. Sorry.
Please don't eat me.
He sort of cocks his head to the side, and then he gives you a big wet lick, his big tongue, as it slavers and slides up the side of your face. And
Okay.
you feel like you're in good friends. He licks his lips, and and then he proceeds to lead you in the direction. And yes,
It's okay. Just give him a Scooby
that
snack.
gif is very apt. You are in fact the Scooby gang with Scooby-Doo leading the way currently.
Oh Lord.
Is that a wise choice?
The question is,
I
who
wonder
is
how
who?
soon Faye's gonna regret the voice he gave Giggles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel we've got what's it? Kane must be Freddy. Velma, is that Moira? And so, who out of the two remaining people who are here, who wants to be Daphne and who wants to be Shaggy?
I guess I would be Shaggy. Considering Giggles took a liking to me first.
I don't know. It's whoever wants to pick the more socially awkward person.
I mean, that still fits.
Well,
Who likes sandwiches the most?
huh?
I mean, I like food.
That's it. Well, Moira, would you like to pick a skill for me, and we will continue the journey back to the town?
I'm. Oh God. I'm gonna take nature.
Okay.
And with the intention of even though this is technically unknown territory for Moira, but still kind of get a sense of the nature around to see where to get through. That plant over there is okay to it's okay to walk through that part of, I don't know, wheat or hay or whatever's there.
Okay, yeah, no worries. You're using nature, to sort of look for the most friendly path that you're doing. Giggles is leading you, but you're looking out for any of those sort of things as well. That's all good. So, give me a roll, please. 11. No, not too bad. So, you take control of Giggles, and you keep your eyes open. You manage to avoid some of the little roots that seem to be on the floor that may have tripped others up. But you make your way through, and you finally start making a little bit of progress. You feel like by the time you're ready to hand Giggles over to the next person, you're pretty sure that you're a good halfway there now. And who would like to take the next watch with Giggles?
I'll try, but it went badly last time.
That's all right. I'm sure she'll be fine.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Sure, it'll be fine.
I'm gonna try and just look where I'm going.
Okay.
With some perception.
Perception. Okay, so you take the leash of Giggles, and you keep your eyes open. You try and take it all in. Make sure you're looking out for anything. Just try and look out for places that remind you. Oh yes, we came through this one way before, and is this ground where have we passed this way before? Are we keeping on the right track? Because you're reliant on Giggles leading you, but it's not necessarily leading you in the right direction. So keeping your eyes open as well and correcting him if he goes wrong would be very useful. So yes, please make me a roll. Ooh, 18. Very good.
It was nearly a 4.
No, very good indeed. So you proceed with Giggles. confidently striding forward through the woods. And you find your way back fairly well. With an 18, I'm going to say that you actually pick up some of the time that you lost earlier. You become more confident looking out for those branches. And as you get further away from this heart of the forest where you were, you don't feel like the trees are as much in your way. You feel like the path almost feels like it's opens up a bit, becomes a bit wider and more relaxed. And I think we'll say that you managed to get back to town.
Yay!
Yay! Back to town again. Right, let me load.
So that was what 2 hours of walking about.
Yeah, we'll say 2 because you lost an hour the first one there. So we say about 3 hours rather than 4 hours that would have normally taken you. So. And,
Okay, so we're up to 12 hours, by my calculations.
Yes. And
not that I'm keeping time.
And so after those few hours, and you picked up a bit of speed towards the end there, you managed to make it back, coming out into the town of Langshawn again, at the back of the Eristry estate, which is where you followed the very, very faint trail of the Chenabog in the first place. And you are back to town again.
Should we go somewhere and sit and discuss, or should we just get straight to something new?
We could drop by Johan and actually hear with him directly if he knows where the rest of the woodworkers hang out.
Yeah, we should probably check in and update them. Although, how much do we tell?
Hello. Sorry, what did I miss? The hot chocolate was brought through overflowing, and I had to run and get a saucer.
Damn that chocolate. The bane of D&D.
The party has made it back successfully to the town, and you're just deciding where to go first.
That's a very good question.
What would Kane do without anyone saying anything? What would Kane do?
He'd go hang out with Bula all day. That's a terrible question.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. But yeah.
Why don't we, continue on with our main port of call and go talk to the lumberjacks? But it might be worth reporting to. I've instantly forgotten his name. I'm terrible at this, but
Johan?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Literally what we talked about just before you came.
That's perfect.
Well, there you go. Great mind.
And luckily, you're just behind the Eristry estate, which is where Johan and his sister live. So, if that is what you wish to do, you will be passing their door momentarily anyway.
Okay, let's go.
I say that, and then I don't know where their tokens have gone. They were on the map, now they seem to have disappeared. Where did I put them?
Somewhere safe.
They've gone runabout.
I mean, oh wait, do you mean our tokens or their tokens?
No, their tokens. They were on the board. I must have accidentally deleted them the last time we played. Never mind. They'll put them back on the board again. There we go. All good. And I'll just move these two down here. And so yeah, you return to the front of the Eristry estate in a similar condition that you left it before.
Amorous is gonna walk up to the door and just knock, pretty much like saying, "Hello,
Yeah.
can we come in?"
And after a moment or two, Johan opens the door, and he stands there with his his usual posture and bottle of some sort of alcohol in his hand. And he says, my friends, please come in. Did you have any luck? Did you find the beast?
Yes and no. Why don't we take this over a cup of tea or something? It could be good to just have something to drink to this.
Yes, I have many things to drink here. Please come in. I will fetch a few more bottles.
Maybe save the wine for later.
Many things equals to alcohol when it comes to Johan.
I mean,
Moira says this out loud, just no shame.
to be fair, if we're gonna regale everything that just happened over the last couple of hours, I would not mind a cup of something.
Good.
I mean, I was mainly going for the tea, but I have a feeling we're gonna get booze.
Hot toddy.
Johan heads to a cabinet where he pulls out various bottles of what you assume is liqueur or some alcoholic beverages of some sort. He finds a few glass tumblers and things, and he puts them across the table. He refrains from putting them on top of the coffin that's still on the top of the table in the living room. But he finds a side table that he starts lining them up, and he starts pouring out a bottle of some kind of, which you assume is alcohol, some sort of like, there's a purplish tint to it, and he pours a glass for everyone, and he says, "Oh yes, this is just as good as tea." And he hands a glass to you, Amorous.
Johan, do you ever drink just plain old water?
He looks down at you, Moira, and he with a glass in his hand to hand to you, and he says, "Of course, I have water. I have to keep myself hydrated as well. And, when I brush my teeth or when I splash water on my face in the morning, I get an injection of water then. I feel like my body it does not need as much as some other people." Here, and he passes you the drink.
Oh, sweetie.
I do not have time for water. A good drink of this, and I am ready for the day.
Moira's just gonna lean over to Galatea and be like, I think we might need some sort of
Intervention, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I said that. It takes a gulp.
When you drink this, Moira, you instant get that kind of burning like sensation down your throat and into your chest. This is a high volume alcoholic drink. It tastes has a hint of blackberry, but there's something else in there as well, almost like a neat star anise or like a licorice kind of flavor to it as well. It just sort of lingers in the mouth.
Spicy.
And he bends down and just pats you on the back. Oh, yes, the first drink of the day can sometimes do this. It is all right. You will be good after a couple of drinks. Your throat will be coated in this, and you will be able to drink it without coughing anymore. And for the rest of you here, and he basically hands out glasses to anyone who wants it. I'm assuming that probably Tisfin will say no, but up to the rest of you if you wish to also have a drink.
I am taking a drink. That is all I could do at the moment to keep him from drinking all of it himself. Also, I want to get drunk.
That makes me feel so much better about drinking it. It's to help him.
It's to help
That's
him. Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
Why.
And Amaros?
Well, he was under a glass, so he was hoping for tea, but he will fucking take. And well, he's slow drink. He doesn't chug it, like he takes it a little bit at a time. But yeah, and he sits down at the table across from your hand and just pretty much prepare himself to speak again.
And and Johan takes a seat and gestures for you to all make yourself comfortable as well. And he sits down and he doesn't take a glass himself. He just drinks straight from the bottle. But
of course he does.
He takes a big gulp or two, and then looks across at you, Amaros, and says, "So, what did you find? You said that you sort of found the Chernobog. What does this mean?"
Well, okay, so here's the thing. We found for lack of a better word, horned bear, which is what you described it as, pretty much.
Yes.
And
yes, this is exactly what it was. And you actually fought the thing.
We actually killed it, even.
His eyes go wide at this. You killed the beast.
That's where the good news ends, I'm afraid. When we killed it, it kind of dissolved, leaving behind the body of a elven man, which, by the looks of it, had been attacked prior to this, judging by the wounds on his body. And at first we thought, okay, so that might have been it. But we got summoned by, I want to say, the leader of the Dryads. Just waiting for his reaction to that.
Galatea sits and drinks.
He takes another sip of his drink and then contemplates what you said. So you killed the Chernobog, but it changed into an elf, you said? It was this wasn't the elf was not inside the beast. It was not a previous it didn't eat it. It was the inside. You mean it threw it up when you killed it, or?
Well, it didn't throw it up. It was more like the Shadowbog, or however you fucking pronounce it. It kind of dissolved and just turned into liquid and then dust. I didn't see the whole process myself. Tisfin was the one who landed the final blow. There was quite a few trees in the way for me to actually catch the final hit, so I didn't. I only has his description of that. So it was inside, I think, but I'm not sure per se if the elf was the Shadowbog or if the elf was just hosting the body of the Shadowbog. But
it was, though, because the tree lady said.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. When
Sorry.
we got summoned by the Mistress of the Forest, which we also think is the leader of the Dryads from the conversations we managed to have with them, which kind of confirmed that this was not the real Shadowbog and more of a spawn from it. Sort of like it bites or claws someone in order to create new versions of itself. So I don't think we've actually killed the main one.
Moira shifts in uncomfortably.
So, Johan, I guess this sort of dark expression on his face. He shakes the bottle in his hand, which is almost empty, and he puts it down on the table, stands, goes over to the cabinet, and he just sort of moves a few other bottles around and pulls out a large black bottle, and he rips the top off and takes a swig of it as well.
Oh, he's bringing the heavy stuff now, apparently.
I should have started with this. So, you say there are more of these creatures than just one. And so the question is this the one that attacked my sister, or is this another one? How big was this creature? The one that came here was, as I say, size of a bear with these antlers which you described, but and he points towards the wall where you see like where the creature obviously burst through the doors, and you can sort of see the size at which the hole is. Was it as big as this? And
I don't remember if you actually pointed out how big the one we fought actually was.
Basically, Tisman would confirm as well, being the closest one to this creature as well. At the end, this hole is basically about the same sort of size, roughly, that this creature was. But you have no idea if the other ones are different sizes or anything. So, yes, the hole that's there is essentially the size could have probably been made by the creature that you fought.
I mean, we followed Giggles there. It was the same scent. I'm assuming it was the same one. But, I don't know, maybe they all smell the same.
If this was the one that attacked my sister, then I am glad you have done me a service in killing it, in putting it out of its misery. Were you able to find out, now that it has been killed, will my sister be okay? Will she? And he pauses for a moment and looks at the bottle in his hand before taking another sip.
Do you mind if I have some of,
Of course. And he comes over to you and he pours some into your glass. This is black. Like, this is as close to oil looking as you could possibly get. You can't see through it. If you hold it up to the light, it doesn't have any. It doesn't. You can't see the light go through it. It's very black. It smells incredibly strong, and it has almost like a sheen on the top of it, a sort of a greenish tinge when it catches the light on the very surface. It's thin. It moves. It's not like thick. And he throws down another shot of it from the bottle. My concern now is if it is true that this dryad, this leader of the dryads, if what she says is true, and there is some Chernobog leader or that is creating more Chernobogs. If my sister was bitten by one of the spawn, will she turn into one of these things?
As far as I understood the dryad, I'm afraid yes. But we have no way to confirming. From what I understood her, there's at least 2 more spawns or offspring or whatever you want to call this, and then we have the main itself, and we don't know where either one are. That's all we know about that thing for now, at least.
But we know where the main one went, and we don't know what will happen if we kill that one. They might all be fine.
That is true. The Dryad's only method of curing would technically be to, well, kill, sadly. But we have no idea of knowing if actually killing the Shadowbog itself without killing the spawns will return the spawns back to their regular selves. So we still have that option.
And wasn't it in that direction as well, where that healer was that you talked about before when you went to see the person, the apothecary?
Looks at this one.
Yeah, so Tisvan got a flyer that basically, in fact, Galatea, you won't have seen that, will you? Let me make that available to you as well. Can you see that?
I can.
So yeah, Tisvan was handed a flyer by Cremini, who is the owner of the Garden of Salve, and this was a flyer that essentially suggested that there was some blessed healer that basically claimed that they were able to heal the sick, and it was a place of salvation where people could go. That is the only suggestion that they had based on the information they had about the Chernobog currently. It's very limited what information people have in this town of the Chernobog. They don't really know too much about it, but Cremini, who is an apothecary, felt like there was nothing else that they could do for Sana currently, and maybe the only option would be going to see this healer who claims that they can do other things. They didn't believe any normal healing that they had the ability to do would be able to reverse whatever this is, this sickness.
So that does a lot of hope we've found. And Galatea sort of glances over to Moira.
Your hand.
Moira,
Gone.
Moira again shifts in her seat a little uncomfortably.
Johan puts the bottle down and he starts pacing up and down. So it seems like I am very eternally grateful for you for killing this beast. And if there are more, then I hope they can be put to the blade as well. Whether killing this beast, this Chernobog, this leader, the one, whatever it is, if killing it will not cure my sister, or that we do not know that it can be done this way, perhaps the only choice we have is for her to be treated by this healer of which you speak. In that case, maybe that is the first port of call. The flyer says that they can be found in the Abbey of Prigwort. That is a journey away, but I feel that is probably easier than trying to find these other creatures, unless you happen to come across them on your travel. I cannot. It is a difficult position. If my father was still alive, I could take my sister in an instant. I would take her there and have her cured. I cannot leave the village under the rule of the Scarwood Guard. I cannot leave her to suffer and to change into one of these beasts. I cannot ask you to do more than you have already done. I do not know what the answer is. And he sits down with his head in his hands on the sofa. I love my sister. I would do anything for her. I would not see her turn into one of these beasts and be a danger to herself or the village. I don't know. If this Dryad, you say she has this knowledge, this her only solution. She gave you no other way of curing other than death?
I mean, no, but to be fair, she's pretty stationary. I don't know how much she could learn from there.
I trust Cremini. She has been a good friend to this family over the years, and she has knowledge beyond my reckoning. He says that she does not have a cure, then it must be something else. I don't know, a disease, a curse, whatever it is. We do not have a means of removing it here. Perhaps there are others that can help with that. I do not know.
Yeah, Johan. We figured out so much in just a couple of days. We're on this. We're pretty invested now, I think.
But does my sister have a couple of days, is my question.
I can't answer that, but we can take her. We're going anyway, right? Oh God, Ted looks around.
We could, but if anything, I think we kind of need to solve the problem between the Dryads and the Woodworkers first, because I don't think the Dryads are gonna wait for too much longer, and if we don't...
Hang on. If the Dryad was in the direction of the healer regardless, could we not kill two birds with one stone here?
The healer is in a town called Prigwort, which is not in the same direction that you went.
And also, I would highly question bringing someone inflicted by something that the Dryad said that the only cure they know is death would be a good idea.
But do we trust the Dryads?
I don't know. I don't trust much.
I think Dryads would say that the cure for a cold is death.
We don't really work like they do, so I don't know how much they know about us. So in that, I don't trust them. But we still have a few hours before I've got a few hours anyway, and we can still do stuff today.
Very true, which is kind of why I think we need to talk to the woodworkers themselves first, rather than the leader of the woodworkers.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Johan, do you know?
Sorry, he's probably busy anyway.
Fair enough. Johan, do you know where the woodworkers tend to hang out?
The woodworkers, well, usually I would say they would be at the sawmill, but that has been closed for some time. Selofin, who is the the owner. He was in town earlier. We saw him together, I believe. He had a stall there. As for the other lumberjacks, are somewhere in town, I suppose. I do not keep tabs on them, I'm afraid. Perhaps Selathin would be better to ask. He may have some knowledge of where they are. If there is some conflict between them and the Dryads, I know that Selathin has closed the Stormill for some time, and I did not realize quite how bad it has gotten. If this ancient Dryad is making threats towards the town, I'm afraid with the death of my father and what is going on with my sister, I have rather let down this town as a leader so far. I am ashamed to say that I have taken my eye off the ball, as it were.
I mean, you are allowed to grieve, Johan. Galatea walks over to him and sort of gingerly grabs a hold of the bottle he's got, and relieves him of it if he would let her.
If he assumes you're going to pour yourself another drink, he will let it go, so that you can pour yourself another drink.
Let it go, let it go. Yarn will drink no more.
I think tomorrow is another day, Johan. You can do things. You can look out for them, and we'll look out for you and Sorhana.
He looks into your eyes and nods. You have all been good friends to us. I appreciate all of that you have done, that you have sacrificed to strangers from a land that you are not from. I wish you had been here and to meet my father. I think he would have liked you. And he puts his hand out again for the bottle, seeing that you haven't poured anything for yourself.
Oh, Galatea is just gonna sort of be walking around to offer the others some of it.
Yeah, if he sees you walking around, he won't ask you for it. Then he'll just assume that you're just offering it around, which is what he would do if people asked.
And Galatea will just like be looking at the others like with this look in their eye, going, just take it, okay?
Did you drink your glass, by the way, Galatea?
No.
No? Okay.
There's been like a very small sip.
Okay. And Moira, you downed your one earlier. Do you accept a drink from this bottle?
Moira is a little terrified of that very ominous looking drink, but for the sake of all of us, she will accept.
Cool.
Galatea realizes her mistake and pours the smallest drink from Moira.
And the other two, have you drunk your drinks? Your glass is still full?
I'm just gonna check. When you say glass, how big are we talking? Are we talking like beer glass or just a
No, it's
regular
like
glass from a cupboard?
Yeah, it's like a tumbler. So like it's like a shorter glass. And he's poured you like a good shot. You know, like a probably almost nearer 2 shots in the glass.
Then I would say that Amros, being the slow drinker that he is, he probably still have at least half, if not 2/3 left.
Right.
To drink.
And what about you, Kane?
I think with this dire situation being what it is, seemingly all the problems and none of the answers are what we've been burdened with. Kane has most definitely emptied his glass, and when the bottle is offered to fill up the glass, he'll grab the bottle instead. He'll look,
Oh no!
he'll look Johan in the eye and just say, maybe a little sullenly, just a mazel tov, and then he'll start drinking from the bottle.
Okay, so so Johan nods to you and sort of raises an eyebrow to like the fact that you're drinking from the bottle. Like, oh, okay, yeah, he likes to drink as well. When you drink this this black, I mean, well, you probably haven't looked in the bottle. You probably just can't see it because the bottle's black. Also, it's again when you drink the first drink on there, it burns the throat. But it also has almost like a numbing feeling to it. Like you feel that initial burn to your throat, to your chest, and then as you start swallowing, taking a second gulp, your throat becomes it feels numb. It's as if it's sort of it almost to the point where you kind of feel like you might choke if you drink too much of this quickly, because you can't sort of feel that anymore, and you get that kind of numb feeling in your chest as well, and then it sort of spreads through your arms a little bit, and you feel your fingers sort of start to tingle. Can you make me a Constitution save, please?
Absolutely.
Galatea just stands there, wide-eyed, watching him. Oh,
Natural 20.
watching him tank that drink.
So you feel that numb sort of feeling in your arms and that as well, but it's more of a tingle. Like you can feel it there, you can feel that kind of numbness coming on. If you tapped your fingers against kind of, if you've ever had a tooth out or something, been giving a sort of a numbing agent there. For a little while, you can sort of tap it, and you kind of like it's that weird feeling of being numb. But you can feel the skin with your fingers, but you can't feel it with your with the muscles that are there in your arm or your face. And you have a few gulps and stop. And the flavor of the alcohol is strange. You would imagine it to taste or the liquor to be thick. Because it's this black color, and you'd think this is going to be like a very overpowering flavor of something, or maybe licorice or something like that. But it's weird when you drink it. It's like lolly water, is what my wife would call it. It's like an alcohol pop. It's like very sweet. It's very easy to drink, and it's almost got like almost like a sort of a sherbets and cherry flavor to it. And other than this kind of weird numbing sensation you've got in there, you feel like, you could have a glass of this easy. You could just swig it because it's so sugary and sweet.
Encouraged by Kane's performance here, Moira's just gonna sniff the drink first. What does it smell like?
So it's weird. It doesn't really have an aroma to it. Again, it's black. You can't really see through it. It has this sort of almost like a greenish, yellowish sort of sheen on the top of it. It doesn't really smell of anything, which is weird. Normally, you'd be able to pick up some sort of scent, or perhaps even kind of like guess the flavor a bit. But it doesn't even seem to smell of anything. It's strange.
Moira's gonna chug it.
Okay, so you just neck the shot. How much did you give Moira?
Like a splash.
A splash. Okay, so there's not much in there. So just a little bit in there to wet your whistle. So yeah, give me a Constitution, but you can roll with advantage because you've only got a small amount in there.
Ah, heck. Advantage?
Yeah. 14?
Yeah, 14.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah. So again, you as soon as you put it in your mouth, you get this very sweet, sugary kind of taste of this tint of sort of sherbet and cherries, and immediately, you feel that kind of warmth going through your throat into your chest. you get a very slight amount of sort of tingly kind of numbing, but it only sort of resonates in your throat, in your chest. It doesn't spread any further into your body. But yeah, it was very sweet, and again, something that you could probably pound quite easily because it's just a sweet drink, very very syrupy and easy to drink.
Galatea just stares at the two and then looks at her glass suspiciously and then joins in, I guess, just taking a mouthful, not like the whole thing, but a mouthful.
This is
Cool.
my bottle.
All right. So yeah, you take a good gulp of this as well, and again, yeah, that's very sweet cherry sherbet kind of. It almost reminds you kind of when you were walking around the fair, if people had cotton candy kind of thing around, sometimes you breathe in and it's almost like you can taste that sugary sort of sweetness in the air around it, that aroma that you inhale in, even though you're not actually eating it. But yeah, it kind of has that, reminds you of smells and things and tastes that you've had at the when you drink it because you can't smell it. But yeah, it kind of reminds you of that. And again, yeah, you take a sip of that and you feel that kind of, that feeling, the same as with the previous one, but a slightly more, numbing sort of tingly feeling in your throat and chest just as you drink it.
Moira, let's have a burp.
And I think Johan probably, he's like, yes, I'm glad that you're enjoying. This was a particular favorite of my father's. So we usually, well, he's saved this for special occasions. I would not call this a special occasion, but it is fairly strong. And to be honest, it is one of the only things that can really affects me these days. I am glad that you are all here to share it with me. And he puts his arm out towards Kane to sort of ask for the bottle back so he can take another swig.
Yeah, he'll pass it back. Cool. He's not going to be rude. He's in his house.
Yeah. And so he's sort of like, oh, thank you. And then he takes another couple of big gulps of it.
I love the fact that Ambrose is just sitting there like, you're supposed to savor this stuff, right? You're not supposed to drink it like you're trying to cure something in a panic. So barbaric.
Maybe that's how you drink it.
Yeah. And he'll take a few more light sips of it, and then if anyone wants any more, he's quite happy to share and pour you some more.
God, yeah, it's got a whole glass of the stuff. She's
Yeah.
not gonna work her through the whole thing either. But yeah, she's just glad to have had some of it stashed away. I'm kind of liking it.
Oh, go on then. One more.
Okay,
One
so
more,
he leans forward and he pours you a good, probably double shot again. And he clinks the bottle up against the glass with you and says, "Cheers, my friend." And he proceeds to drink. Ooh, natural one.
There we go.
And it's drunk.
So you,
that's what I get for tempting fate.
did you just down it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you cheers with him. He sort of nods it to you, seeing that you've drunk this strong liquor previously, and he sort of hides, thinks, oh, this guy can hold his liquor. Cheers as you drink down. Puts his head back to take another sip. You throw the shot back, and as you sort of throw it back and swallow, the momentum of your arm going up and that sort of swinging motion continues as you collapse backwards in your armor into the chair behind you. With a clatter.
Laughing, it goes up your nose.
The alcohol hits you, bam, like a like a train, and that numb feeling that you had initially felt in your fingers now basically just shoots into your body. Your brain, your body, your legs all suddenly go numb, and you fall backwards, not being able to kind of feel your body anymore, and you just sort of slump back into the chair in your armor, holding you down. And you find it incredibly difficult to kind of focus as your brain and your just seem to be numb. You're almost sort of like in a sort of a comatose state, sort of looking out through your eyes at the world, but unable to, and seeing movement, but unable to kind of talk or act at the moment, as this alcohol is just slammed into you.
Ambrose is looking over and then under his breath as he takes another sip goes, and that's why you take it slow or the balance got out of control.
Quoting the balance back to the person who's all about balance and slapping him in the face.
I was waiting for it.
How you doing, balance boy?
I imagine you're not getting an answer.
You know, you hear like that in the back. You cannot focus on words or sound. You can see light and shapes blurrily at the moment around you, so you can see movement. You can see probably the outline of what you imagine is Johan offering another drink to anyone else whose cup is empty. And he just looks and smiles in your direction. Moira, would you accept any more drink?
I think seeing now having seen Kane quite literally flop, Moira's gonna politely decline. I am a lady.
And he nods and he's like, oh, fair enough, yes, it is. Perhaps it is time that it is getting later. It is probably time that we probably called it a night, I would say.
Yeah, I don't think we're going anywhere today. I'm gonna drink some more.
Okay, perfect. Are you gonna finish your drink over the course of the evening?
I think probably, yeah.
Okay, you can give me another Constitution save then.
She gives in.
$13. Yeah, you're feeling that numb effect in your hands and your legs and stuff as well. Not in the same state as poor Kane. You feel like you should probably sit down as your body gets that numb feeling throughout it, but you're not so far gone that you would fall over. You've probably stopped just at about the right amount of time.
Galatea plops down next to Johan.
Oh.
Question, Faye?
Yes.
I'm trying to look at Minor Illusion, and I specifically wonder, like, it can create an image, but I can't see if it's an image that can be animated per se, like it's moving.
It says you can create a sound or an image of an object. So I think it's just a static image as far as I know, or a sound on its own. I don't think it can be animated or move. I think that's a greater illusion or something like that, I think.
I've always done it as a static thing.
Yeah. Its volume can range from a whisper to sounds. If you create an image of an object such as a chair, muddy footprints, or small chest, it must be no larger than a 5-foot cube. The image can't create sound, light, smell, or any other sensory effects. Physical interaction with the image reveals it to be an illusion. So yeah, it can be something 5 foot in dimension, and it cannot move or have any sound or smell or anything that would give it away if you actually tried to go near it.
Well, damn it.
I think prestidigitation can move about.
Huh?
That's like wind and stuff and glitter and what's it? Prestidigitation.
What I mainly wanted to do was create the illusion of. You guys know that scene from Dumbo when he's drunk?
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to do that, but instead of pink elephants, it's pink versions of Bula dancing over his head.
you could certainly do a static image, but she'd be very squat though, because she can only be 5 foot. So she'd be.
I'm well aware. But I mean, they would be tiny just to mess with.
I guess so. But
just imagine those little birds floating around someone's head in cartoons when they've hit their head.
I think if you could animate, then it probably would be more effective. However, I mean, you don't know this, but at the moment he is unable to focus on imagery. Like you all seem to be blurry, mumbling in the background. So whether he would know what that was in front of him, I don't know. But I think with that it's a static image, unfortunately. So
yeah, too bad. Well, I got to put it in words at least.
Well, so Johan is mixed. He is happy that you are drinking with him. He is happy that you have killed this beast. He is happy to hear that you are willing to help him further and for all the things you've done at the moment. But he is saddened by the fact that he knows that his sister has this, whether it's a disease or a curse or something else going on that is causing this, and he is worried for her safety. However, knowing that there is possibly a couple of solutions, killing the beast, finding this healer, he is hopeful that there is a way of a cure. His main concern now is going to be, and which he discusses with you while you're here, is whether or not you find a way to take Sahana to this healer, try and bring the healer back to them, or what the plan is. He is reluctant to burden you further, but you sense that he would appreciate it if you could. He feels himself tied to the town currently, and in the stead of his father. And with the Scarwood Guard, he's conflicted between helping his sister and leaving them in charge of the town, essentially, while he's gone.
Galatea will be sat next to him and listening to the concerns and stuff and telling him to shut up when he's saying that he doesn't want to burden them any further. Because she's quite drunk now and not very good at holding back. And like she's waving in front of his face like no, we're doing it.
I appreciate your help, and it is good to hear that you will do this. Perhaps we'll have this conversation again in the morning, just to make sure that you'll know what you're agreeing to right now, because
yeah. But it's gonna be the same. You're fine, and this is fine. We're good. See, we did the other thing, and it was good. So we can do another one, and that will also be good.
I am glad you are so positive in this. It warms my heart. And he puts his arm just sort of around your shoulder and gives you like a squeeze as he offers you a refill.
Galatea's eyes sort of go big, but and she just sort of blushes, and accepts another drink.
So he pours you more of this liquid. It's actually the end of the liquid. The bottle's now empty after he pours this out, and he says, it was good. It was appropriate to share this with you, with friends. My father would have approved, I think. Please, finish the bottle for me.
Sure. Thank you. This is is good. And you're so good at things. I had so many good things from all the people we've met, and you can do this, right? Just maybe no new bottles for a while.
Yes. No new bottles. I understand what you're saying. Yes, not now until the morning now. I have had my fill for tonight.
Yeah, or maybe also just wait a little bit in the morning, because this is a little strong.
Yes, I am surprised, to be honest, that you have not been affected as your friend over there.
My tongue feels really funny.
He'll just laugh as well. He is starting to feel a little bit now that he's had quite a bit of this bottle as well.
Galatea's trying to look at her own tongue.
And
Look at who?
At her own tongue.
Oh,
She can't feel it. So is it even there?
So you're sticking your tongue out, and he looks forward. He's like, don't worry, you have a very pretty tongue.
Galatea like completely flushes. She's just like almost purple. Yeah,
And-
it's a weird tint. It should be more red, but for some reason it's sort of purplish. Hair's still flopping about, by the way, if anyone cares.
Amos is kind of looking at his glass, looking at Galatea, and just thinking, am I sure that I'm not drunk yet? Nah, fuck it. And he just chugs the rest.
Chugs the rest of it. Yeah, that one that you've been given wasn't a particularly strong one, and you've only had that like basically just over a shot, so you don't need to make me a roll for that one. But it definitely does warm the throat and the chest. You feel that alcoholic burn as it goes down, and all the while, Tisfun and Giggles kind of sit down, and I think Tisfun is just watching and was commenting in some of the parts of the conversation, but he just sits and pats Giggles as they both just watch you all get drunk.
Galatea, I don't know if it's the alcohol, if I'm tired, or what is going on. But your hair is somewhat flowing.
Galatea has just sort of finished patting Johan on the shoulder, as in, no, don't be silly, and then just sort of freezes with her hand there, and looks still with the tongue sticking out a little bit, and then sucks it in. Oh, yeah, that's fine. It does that.
Is it something from your magic, chance?
Sure.
I mean, I occasionally show scales when I from my magic, so hey, wouldn't surprise me too much.
You what?
Oh. And Amorous is pulling up his sleeve, showing signs of just somewhat semi-visible scales, kind of just below the skin, but they are noticeable on a few spots along the arms.
Huh. You're all really weird.
I prefer calling it unique.
No, yeah. I mean this is nice. I'm weird. You're weird. Even, Balance Boy is quite weird. And Galatea sort of looks down to Kane. Is he speaking yet, or is he just flopping about on the floor?
I think Kane is sort of was overtaken by this alcohol that he'd sort of ingested. He seems to be mostly out of it. Now and again, I mean, you are inebriated as well, but sometimes, and probably Moira is probably the most likely to hear this. Her hearing is pretty good, I would imagine, and probably Giggles as well. Every now and again, there's just this sort of noise that comes from Kane. It's just a sort of just a slow sort of like whine, sort of a like that every now and again. As he's sort of like possibly trying to react or talk in a conversation, but that's all that comes out when he's trying to do it. But yeah, he seems to be. And if Johan catches this, he said he's probably there for the night. I'm afraid this is quite. I should have probably warned you all. This is pretty strong stuff. My friends, it is getting on in hours. Perhaps we have many guest rooms here. Galatea, you have already spent the night here before. Your room is made up, ready to go. If the rest of you would wish to turn in and spend the night here, sleep off this alcohol, I would be more than happy for you to stay.
Oh, you're so nice.
I used to think so.
You are so nice and good. I think maybe bed is good.
It is probably for the best. It is too late for you to go and speak to Celestine and that now. Maybe in the morning when you are feeling a little less tired, and he will if you.
Just the rest of this, and then bed.
Yes, a nightcap as well. He will stand up for a moment while you finish your drink, and he will just sort of gesture to you, Amorous, and Moira, and to Tisfin. There are more rooms back here if you would like me to show you.
Galatea also tries to stand up. I don't know how successfully.
Give me a acrobatics.
Okay.
See if you can feel your legs enough to stand up without falling back into the chair.
Straight roll or?
So acrobatics, yeah. So dexterity, acrobatics, skill check. Oh, very nice. 18 for a 20.
Graceful.
Yeah, you
almost more so than usual.
yeah, you just flow out of the chair. You almost like a breeze. You kind of are standing upright, and you're like, right, let's go. And even Johan is sort of caught off guard. He was ready to catch you in case you fell, but you seem to stand up. It's like, you can hold your drink. I am impressed.
Galatea grins.
And he still puts an arm around you though to help you along, just in case that was a one-off. And he leads the rest of you towards some rooms at the back of the house, which there's a room. There's plenty of guest rooms here for you to have your own room. If any of you want to bunk up together, there are rooms that have twin beds. twin single beds. But yeah, you're welcome to turn in unless you've got anything else that you would like to do.
Galatea is just a blushing anime girl at the moment. Just entirely purple.
He's still holding on to you and arm around your waist, essentially, as he shows the others, because he knows where you know where your room is anyway, but he's sort of holding on to you just in case you misstep.
Galatea pretends to sort of stumble a little bit.
He just like makes sure his firm arm is around you so you can't stumble. And yeah, if there's anything else you want to do, Amaros and Moira?
Moira has been staring at Kane's face for a good 5 minutes.
Amros is gonna lean in and ask, "Do you have anything to draw with?"
Are you asking Johan about that?
No, he's busy with Galati. Yeah.
Oh, you're asking
Amros
Moira.
is asking Monique.
Sorry.
Moira, because he's seeing that she has something in mind.
I have a quill, but I feel like that would just ruin the thing. Kane, buck.
Yeah.
You snore.
So Kane, while you're looking up in this sort of inebriated, sort of comatose state, you see the shadows of people looking down at you, but they're kind of blurry. I think you almost kind of sense that it's Moira, whose face is looking down at you, given the ears, a bit of a giveaway compared to your other companions. But all you hear is and you're unable to kind of respond. You think you're responding, you think you're talking back, but again, all that they hear is
I also
like that.
also poke him on the forehead.
Yeah. So you poke him on the forehead, and there isn't really a response. It's almost, there is a delayed reaction, but it's more of the same noise. Exactly. That's exactly what it's like, Valentine.
So I can hear him in my head going,
I can just imagine him having that happy face too.
yeah.
So he was. So I think Tisfan and Giggles at least will be shown to a room then, and Johan sort of he will guide you, Galatea, towards the room that you had stayed in before, and he will just say to you, I believe you'll know where the bed and the amenities are. I hope you were comfortable here the last time.
Galatea bites her lip and goes,
He opens the door and he guides you in to the room, helping you, and just gently holding onto your hands as he sort of lowers you down as you sit on the edge of the bed. Well, if there is anything else I can do to make your stay more pleasant, please do not hesitate to ask. I am just at the room, the end of the hall, opposite my sister's. But let me attend to your friends. I feel Kane may need my help getting himself to his room.
oh, yeah. Thank you.
You are more than welcome. And he gives you, he's a kind of, it's sort of a bow, but it's got more of a sort of a flourish to it. He sort of steps back with one leg and almost bringing his arm fluidly to his waist and then bowing, almost like a sort of a practiced flowing movement, perhaps like a more of a ceremonial sort of salute or bow that he would do, maybe for official duties or something. But he sort of gives you this kind of like, sort of smooth wave of his arm across his chest as he bows down and looks at you in the eye, and then stands up again and gently walks back out into the room.
Galatea flops down on the bed as soon as he's gone, and just like staring up at the ceiling, covering her whole face with her hands.
And Johan returns to the room. He walks over to you, Moira, and Amros, as you are peering down into Kane's face. Have you did you sort anything out with the drawing?
I mean, we haven't found anything to draw with yet. Amoros is kind of... Wait, they have a fireplace in here, right?
Yeah.
Amoros is gonna walk over to it and see if there's any fresh soot.
Yeah, there are. The fireplace itself doesn't seem to have been on. They haven't had a fire in that front room for some time. However, when there was a fire there, it hasn't been cleared out since then. So there are small pieces of charcoal, and there is soot, and there is like ashes sort of in the fireplace.
Perfect. Amoros is pretty much gonna spin on his finger to get it wet, rub up a bunch of soot to get so he has sort of a paste on his finger, and then walk over to Kane and draw Bula's name on his forehead. He's a prankster at heart.
Okay, yeah. So I would say, in his inebriated state, Kane is unaware or unable to contemplate what it is that is being done to him currently. And so, you can use some of the ash, and you can write the name Bula on his forehead. I think with the natural 1 Kane earlier, there's not much I can offer you as a way of sorting the situation. You may just need a long rest.
No defense.
Moira's just gonna be like, don't be mean, though. Don't be mean. And I join in on the drawing and draw like little hearts around Bula's name.
I'm rather just looking at Mora. Yes, we're doing this.
And by the time Johan returns, he looks over your shoulders and down at Kane, and he just nods and says, "Well, very artistic, yes. I approve." But I feel like I must help him to bed, as you all have done such a great job. You have done. We have worked hard, and you have taken down this beast. I think that you are all worthy of a rest at this point.
A good night's sleep might be a good idea, and this guy definitely needs it. Yeah, I'll give you a hand. And I help drag Kane up to his feet. Or over our shoulders. I think he's pretty much just being dragged.
Yeah, he nods, and he goes down and he picks Kane up. And you're surprised, actually. Kane has got a lot of heavy armor on, but Johan, even with the alcohol that he's had, doesn't seem to fumble. He effortlessly, it seems, picks Kane up, puts him under his arm over his shoulder and carries him to an adjoining room. That he said he is grateful for your help on the other side, but you feel like you're not probably carrying too much weight. Your hand seems to be carrying the bulk of Kane relatively easy.
Yeah, I actually had a feeling that Kane would actually be too heavy for Amros to, well, hold up properly. Considering, Kane has full-on armor. Amros is not that strong.
It's definitely that balance there. I think you would have had to maybe make a roll if you were trying to do it yourself, but he's
and balance returns.
Johan is
He's so strong.
He's a gritty little guy. He's got the beard and stuff like that. He's got this darker hair. He's definitely is a capable person. With the amount of alcohol you see him drinking, you would imagine that he's probably not very focused or stumbling around and that. But he doesn't seem to be. He seems to, at least externally, he looks like it doesn't really affect him. And he definitely is strong. He picks up Kane with relatively small amount of effort, which, again, someone who would be as inebriated as some of you have become after a few drinks seems unusual. That he would be so with it, be able to do that. But perhaps he can just handle his drink. And he guides, with your help, he guides Kane to an adjoining room, and he lays him down on the bed. He does turn to you, though, Amaros, and says, it may be wise to take him out of his armor before he rests. I think he would be more comfortable that way. But perhaps you or one of your companions are probably know him better than I. So I shall leave that to you.
Yeah, no worries. I'll actually share a room with him to keep an eye on him.
Very good. And he points across the hallway where Amros is. Where Kane is, and there's another doorway. And he says, "Please, you are welcome to this room."
Right. Well, I'm gonna start with taking off the armor best I can. I'm not used to heavier armor, but I'll do my best to get it off him.
And Moira, he will. Where are you at the moment? Did you follow them in, or did you go to one of the rooms?
I just kind of follow them.
Just follow.
This is my father's. This is my father's.
And he leans down towards you, Moira, and he sort of gently guides you to another room next to Amros, and he says, "Please, you will find everything in here that you'll need to stay. Hopefully, there is a stool in the corner if you have trouble getting into the bed. I know it is quite tall, but if you need anything, please let me know. I wish you all a pleasant night's sleep." So you will have your own rooms for the night. If you wish to go to sleep, or if you wish to do anything else, just let me know.
What's everyone else doing?
Drooling.
Yeah, Kane is slowly being undressed by Amros, and I mean, you feel good, Amros. Sorry, Kane. You're happy. You feel like you don't feel anything really at the moment. Your body and your mind, your vision is all numb currently. You feel quite comfortable where you are lying on the bed, and although your limbs are being moved as your armor is being taken off of you, it doesn't really bother you. It's sort of happening, and you're just sort of focused on the ceiling currently. But you're in a good buzz at the moment.
Nice.
Once Amos is done taking off Kane's armor and anything else that probably would feel uncomfortable sleeping with, he's just gonna... What's the... In Swedish, it's called bädda ner, which pretty much... Oh, wait, tuck someone to bed. I think it is in English.
Tuck him into bed, yeah.
Yes. And once he looks like he's comfortable enough, he's gonna head over to his room, and before he actually lays down on the bed, he's gonna dig through his bag for a little bit and bring out the green necklace that he bought, and he actually wants to try to attune to it.
Okay, sure. So that will take you, I think it's half an hour, or something like that. But you're going to bed anyway, so that regardless, yeah, you can spend some time examining it and trying to attune to it and seeing what this is. Let me have a look at the details here, and I shall. Do you want me to read them out, or do you want to keep it to yourself for now?
I'm fine with both, but I might need written down later because
I will write it.
You know my memory and notes.
That's fine. No, I can give it to you. All right. I'll just copy paste this to you. So yeah, so you look at the. Oh, let me just find your name in the list here. So many people I've been chatting to recently. Everyone who I normally chat to, who was usually at the top of the Discord, is now disappeared off the bomb. So let me just click on your name and I can.
I know that feeling.
You are there. All right. So
I would make it easy for you.
thank you very much. All right. So yeah. So you look at this amulet. It's a small green stone on a thin silver chain, and it gives off that faint scent of eucalyptus. So after spending some time with it, after trying attuning to this amulet, this amulet and its scent that it has off it is actually a sort of a barrier, or it creates a barrier or a ward against insects, and more specifically arachnoids. Any type of any size cannot get within 5 feet of the wearer. If a bug does happen to get past the barrier, it explodes loudly and violently. So it is an amulet of arthropod blasting.
That would have been useful before with the spider.
It would have been very useful with that spider, yeah.
Just imagine if that spider would have grabbed Amaros with its silk, pulled him up, only to realize it just pulled in a bomb.
Yeah, exactly. You get within
well,
5
you
feet
didn't
of it.
attune to it before now.
Yes.
True.
I think at the time I may have not moved it towards you, Amaris, because of that reason, but I didn't mention that or say that it was not moving towards you, because it was in that sort of tight area anyway, so it didn't really have the opportunity. But had it tried to move towards you, I think it would probably not have moved in your direction because of the eucalyptus smell. But yes, it wouldn't have had that effect unless you'd attuned to it. But yes, you have that now. So any bugs or any arachnoids, yeah, they will live in fear of you from now on while you wear the amulet.
Nice.
Can I just say that if Moira is ever cursed with fleas and she goes anywhere near Amaros,
That's it. Just tiny little.
it's gonna be
Wait,
messy.
are they arachnids?
It's insects and arachnids. So
Ah, nice.
See,
How
you've
How dare you insinuate that Moira would ever have fleas? How dare you? She's a lady.
So next time she walks past Amaras, we would just hear like little pop, pop, pop.
it would have also been good, when you when that body of that creature had all those insects that attacked Tisman.
Oh yeah,
in the maze.
and the entrance to the thing.
Yeah.
as well.
So essentially, Amaros is now your bug zapper. As you walk through town, they'll just be like,
This is your job now.
But yes, that is what the pendant did. Yes.
As Emerald is figuring this out, he's just gonna go, well, I did buy this as a souvenir for my sister, and she does have a fear for spiders, so this just made it even more better.
Perfect.
Before
And then he's going to drift off to Sleepland.
Before Moira fully succumbs to sleep, she's just gonna lay on her back, just staring at the ceiling. And then she's gonna take the holy symbol of the wild mother and just kind of hang it above her face. And she's gonna whisper into the air, "I'm sorry, mother. I'm sorry."
No.
And then sleep.
Galatea is pacing back and forth in her room for a little while. And then she looks out into the hallway to see what other doors are open, if at all.
So I would imagine that Kane's door is shut, and the other two, I guess you will probably be closed as well if you've gone to bed.
Yeah.
In fact, I think what would make sense is that probably Tisvan is probably meditating in the. There is a room just off of the hallway, so I would imagine that Giggles is probably sleeping on the floor, and Tisvan is probably in his sort of trance-like state, just sort of doesn't need a room or a bed to really to use up, so he's probably like half keeping guard, half doing this meditation in just off the hallway.
And the other doors?
And all other bedroom doors seem to be shut down the hallway.
Galatea walks back into the room and paces back and forth again. And then sneaks down to go into Johan's room.
Cool. Do you know which one is Johan's room?
Well, he pointed it out.
Oh, okay.
Didn't he?
He pointed down the corridor and said it was at the end of the corridor opposite his sister's, but I don't know if he pointed to which door it was.
Would she have seen it the day before?
I don't think so, because he was still awake. He was still drinking when you went to sleep. So
which one smells more alcohol?
let's see. Let's make it a 50-50. Let's see which door do you go for. Let's see, left or right. So give me a straight roll with the d20. We'll see which one. So 1 to 10, it's the left one, and then 11 to 20 is the right one. Okay, so you go through the left door. So are you gonna knock or just go through?
Just can't knock. Just sort of peek inside.
Peek inside. So just sort of crack the door open. When you look inside, the room is fairly dark. Lights being off. But after a moment, your eyes sort of adjust. There are lights in the hallway. So it takes just a couple of moments for your eyes to adjust. And the light from the crack that you're opening kind of just sort of sends a little beam into the room. and you see the room. It's quite dark in there, but there is a large low bed, just in the center of the room, and laying on top of the sheets, you see Johan. He is laying on top of the sheets. He has his arms just folded over his chest, laying straight out on the bed. He has his chest is bare, but he has some sort of it's not like the hakama that he wears during the day that you've seen him wearing. There seems to be like a thinner sort of material, still in the same sort of style, but more of a sort of a more casual, more comfortable for sleeping in, probably, that he wears around his waist. And he has many bottles on the side, on the floor, and on the side, that just seem to have been like lined up. But the room itself seems to be quite neat. It's very minimalist. It's very neat, and even the bottles are sort of stacked in an order. So it's a very regimented. And then on the wall, just over his head behind him, you see his two swords that just seem to be sitting in some sort of kind of holder above his bed. And he's just, his head's laying on a pillow. His eyes are currently closed. You're not sure if he's super deep in sleep or just laying there with his eyes closed, but he just lays there.
Now that she's inside, she'll just sort of very gently knock on the if there's a table just inside, or the door frame or something.
Yeah, you can just like knock on the door frame or something like that. And you will see one of his eyes towards the door open. And he will see you and to say, yes, Galatea, may I help you?
Can I write you?
He raises an eyebrow. Can you what? Can you do what to me?
No, as an out of character, can I write you?
Oh, I see. I was like, can you? I thought you were asking him.
Can you write me?
Can I ride you? And I was like,
that's pretty direct.
yeah. Well, I was just like, yes, you can write me something if you like. Yeah.
Okay.
The sudden spit take of.
Galatea.
Sure. You can write to me, and while that's happening, you guys all have a lovely sleep. Kane, I would imagine after a short amount of time of not seeing any blurry faces or anything anymore, and there being no sound, you probably would have just drifted off to sleep. Moira and Amros, you will hopefully drift off to sleep soon as well, and I'd imagine Tisfan is just in his normal meditative space, and Giggles is fast asleep, tongue out, snoring.
Yeah, we can just cut to the next day, I think.
Yeah. Okay. You can message me. What
Yeah. I'll frantically type,
Okay.
so I can
Perfect.
do it quick.
All right.
Yeah. I'll be up late.
And as you fall into sleep, Moira, you begin to dream. You begin to dream of home. You begin to dream of your village and the friends and family that you had left behind there. And the vision is the dream is quite vivid. You remember the mission that you were sent on the events of the day weigh heavily on your mind, and you can't help but feel a connection to the reason that you were sent here. The ancient dryad's words and the devastation to the forest that you noticed, it's taken a toll on you more than the others, and you feel that in some way there is a connection here between the trees where you have been, where you are from, and the connection that you have. You feel a kingship with this forest and its plight currently, and your sleep is peaceful. You sleep without waking, but you toss and turn. The thoughts that are going through your head, the worries and the questions that you have bubble up in your brain while you sleep. And although you do get a night's sleep, you will wake in the morning with it still heavily on your mind, wanting to solve this problem, to learn more. Amoros, when you sleep, you again sleep well. You feel a deep sleep after the events of the day, the trials and tribulations that you've gone through. It has affected you, but maybe not quite as much as Moira. Facing that beast, coming to grips with this foul creature, talking to this ancient tree folk, all these things are so different and new and overwhelming that your mind is just racing. But there is, through all of that noise in your mind that interrupts the flow of your sleep, there is also another voice that comes to you, a more gentle voice, powerful voice that helps to calm the other thoughts, helps you focus more, and helps you fall into a deeper sleep, able to put those things out of your mind, at least temporarily, until the morning. And your dreams shifts from those thoughts to just a white, almost unending void of whiteness. And just at the peripheral of your vision, you see the beating of wings, a serpent-like body, close but just out of your reach currently. A silver set of scales just glimmering apart, always just on the edge of your vision, but never quite in its focus. Kane, in your inebriated dream, your mind is unable to focus on anything specific. The thoughts of the day blur together with other your own thoughts that interrupt. And then your vision changes, and you find yourself standing at the edge of a lake. The lake is almost like a mirror going out almost endlessly in front of you. And to either side of it, as you look, it seems to stretch on and around. Mountains grow up into the distance, and far away in the middle of this island, in the middle of this lake, you see what looks like a small island. And looking back at you from this island, you see a figure. A gleaming figure. Figure that you believe, if it was standing next to you, would be much taller. Probably 10 feet tall, possibly. And the gleam, you notice, is a reflection of the armor that it wears. This is a knight holding a sword. And it just looks at you across from this island, from this lake. And the lake, again, is like a mirror. It's completely still, and you just see, looking down at your own reflection, and you see the knight's reflection in the water as well. Is there anything you wish to do, Kane?
Oh, this is a lucid dream?
Yes. Everything that came before was a muddle and an unfocused blur because of the alcohol. But now this is sharp. This dream, you feel like you're at the side of this lake. You feel like you can breathe in the air. You feel like you can, although there are no ripples, no waves, you can sense the water. You can look down into its depth from where you are, and you see the light from the sun glimmering off of this armor in front of you. Your mind is sharp. It's focused as it normally is.
I'll squint my eyes at the figure, and how far away are they?
I would say they're sort of off towards the middle of this lake. So I would say it's probably about maybe 100 feet.
Oh wow, that's far.
If this figure didn't have armor on it and it wasn't sort of shiny, you probably wouldn't see it very clearly from the distance. You might see a figure, but because it's this figure you think is taller, because you can see that there are trees and bushes on this island, but the figure itself must be at least 10 foot tall. It seems to be out of scale with trees and bushes and things that are there, so it must be quite tall. And because of that extra height, and because it is wearing a suit of armor, it reflects from the sun, it's why it's standing out to you.
Well, it's the only thing he can think to do, despite the distance, is call out to the figure. He's kind of squinting his eyes, half with suspicion and half because he's trying to see the figure more clearly. And he'll call out fairly loudly to try and make it so that they can hear him. Who are you to me?
And you hear your voice echo across this lake, almost loud enough that there's almost a slight ripple to the water when you say this. Across at this knight or armored figure across the lake, standing in the center. And after a moment, you hear from behind you, "Did is a really weird dream, guy. What is this night over here and all these lakes and things? Why this is such a crazy dream you're having. I can't believe it. Well, this is so. I'm so glad that we're going to enjoy this together. And this fawn character that you'd met earlier at the fair links arms with you, and she points out across the lake and smiles up at you, saying, "Oh, that weird guy with all the armor and stuff. What do you think he's about? Has he got something to do? Should we go over and say hi? What do you think we should do? This is your dream." And that's where we'll leave it for tonight.
What the fuck?
I love her. Love her.
And that's where we'll end things for tonight. Thank you very much for playing.
I was wondering when.
Wait.
I was wondering when she was gonna turn up. I was like, "Are we gonna have some dramatic overtones first?" And then she was there.
There she was.
Please, can we continue? I love her.
But think about the fun we'll have at the beginning of next session.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Kane's gonna get.
So next session tomorrow. Yes.
Well, we'll have to see. We'll see if we can squeeze another one in when everyone's around. Maybe we'll have a full party next time. Would be good.
Awesome.
That would be nice. But yes,
It's always best to have a full party.
Every time we have time to chat or anything, either I or Tisvin isn't here, and it's so frustrating because we keep missing each other.
That's it. We've never seen you in the same place at the same time.
Maybe they're actually the same person.
Oh my god. And they both
It's
know
really good to
Eddie.
throw different voices.
Hang on a minute. They both know Eddie. What the hell?
No.
The truth will out. Well, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the session. And
Absolutely.
we will see what happens the next time we meet.